Hello and welcome to Cooking with Tara Quarantine Edition. This morning we're going to be cooking some omelets and a crepe. The omelet is for Nicole. Nicole, you'll see how to do an omelet. And I'm also going to garnish it with fresh microgreens that we've been growing so that we always have fresh vegetables in our kitchen. And we're going to do two different size pans, and I'll talk you through that as we go. So let's harvest some microgreens first. I've been growing these in just a little flower, what would you call this, a window box. And now I just take a knife and cut off as many as we want. And then we give those a wash in the salad spinner and we're good to go. Okay, so one of the principles that I keep referring to is this notion of mise en place, which is a very popular term used in restaurant kitchens. And it refers to just having everything organized before you start. Particularly important when you're working with eggs. You do not have time to be running around finding things when you're cooking eggs. So the trick is to have everything ready to go before you start. So I've got my pans here. I've taken the eggs and I blended them, and that just makes sure that all of the proteins have been thoroughly mixed together. I've cooked some asparagus. This has just been steamed in a microwave steamer, so they're ready to go. And back here, I've got some ham chunks that I've sauteed, and I've got a fondue sauce made with Swiss cheese. So one of the tricks with eggs is they cook at 149 degrees. At 149 degrees, an egg is fully cooked, and they cook very, very quickly. So in many cases, you really don't have time to be doing things like melting cheese in the egg or cooking the ham in the egg. It would be cold. So the trick is to do those things that you're going to include with the eggs in advance, have them warm, have your plates warm. You don't want your eggs getting cold when they hit the plate, and have all of your ingredients ready to go and in place. All right, so the first thing to know about eggs is pans. The pan will make or break you. As a matter of fact, it's probably the most important thing in making an omelet. This pan is, at the top, it's 10 inches across, and at the bottom, it's 6.5 inches across. And I'm going to use this for the omelet. For crepes, I'm using a much bigger pan. Now, one of the considerations here is how strong are your wrists. This pan weighs a ton, and if you're going to be working with it. So this is a little over 12 inches at the top and 8 inches at the bottom. So those are the two pans. I keep these pans only for eggs or other things that are going to be cooked at low temperature using implements that are not going to injure them. So I'll use a soft spatula, for example, to work with the eggs and the crepe in these pans. All right, so pan is number one. The pan has to be thick enough and it has to be made of the right materials to spread the heat out. Any hot spots will create havoc if you're trying to do an omelet or a crepe. So these pans are made of multiple layers of material. There's stainless steel, and there's copper, and there is aluminum in these pans. And of course, they're both non-stick finishes. And we're getting a little noise competition from the dishwasher right now. Okay, so once we have our pan, the next step is to get the pan warm. And I'm going to use a little induction heater to do that. While that's warming up, I'll chop some of the asparagus. So we're going to leave some of the asparagus whole, and we're going to chop some. Do not want to put eggs in a cold pan. I can feel the heat coming up. Get up. I'm going to put about a pat of butter in there. We're going to let that melt. Now the eggs have already been seasoned with some salt and pepper. Now the butter will help the nonstick a little bit, but you'll see that the butter quickly gets incorporated into the eggs, and so it's really not going to do much. That's why you need the nonstick pan to be really good. All right, I'm going to pour about 3 eggs in here. My plate ready to go. Okay, I let that stand for a little bit too long. All right, so I'm not going to really be able to shape that as a traditional French omelet very successfully. Yep, not too bad. And you can see that went very quickly. All right, now let's do a crepe. Again, we got to warm that up. Okay, so I've added a couple of tablespoons of ricotta cheese to the egg mixture. These are going to be flourless, gluten-free crepes. And I'm just going to give that a little. Now this is for a savory crepe. If you were making a sweet one, like you wanted to fill it with something like cream cheese, instead of the way we're going to do it today, you could add a little bit of sugar and a little bit of vanilla to this. This is just the eggs, ricotta, and salt and pepper. Now, people are funny about eggs. Some people like brown on their eggs. Some people despise it. The traditional French omelet, you would never have brown on it. A country omelet, you might. In the case of the crepe, we usually do like just a little tinge of brown on the bottom. But the trick is to just cook it long enough. This pan wasn't quite hot enough when I put the ingredients in. The trick is to cook it just long enough that the eggs are set on the top. And unlike some people, I do not flip my crepes. When you're making them without flour like this, they really don't hold together as well as the flour type, and trying to flip it would undoubtedly break it. Okay, so for this crepe, I'm going to fill it with asparagus and some diced ham that I have sauteed. And we'll go over here and garnish the plate and get it ready to go. These are microgreens, so we're getting some veg involved here, along with the asparagus. And now, I'm going to try to turn this out. That. Right, and for this omelet, we're going to split it down the middle. asparagus, some microgreens, and some ham. A little ham on top of this one too. And then as a final touch, I made a Swiss fondue. Now this fondue is made without the Kirschwasser, the cherry liqueur, because it's a breakfast thing, but it was made with white wine. And the reason, again, for doing this is that the eggs cook at a very low temperature. So by having the cheese already melted, and you could use any cheese sauce you like. I mean, if you want to use cheese sauce out of a can, you could use it. I wouldn't. But you know, any sort of cheese, you could use cheddar, whatever you have in your refrigerator, and then you can use any liquid. You could use some chicken stock to melt it down with. I used white wine, a little touch of flour or cornstarch as a thickener, and some, you could use nutmeg in it if you like it. I didn't use it in this one. And then there we are. The crepe stuffed with asparagus and ham, and the French omelette covered with the ham and asparagus and the fondue. Bon appetit. Hope you enjoy. Okay, here we have the pretzel thins with a little bit of Swiss cheese and a dab of that honey mustard ham with a slice of pickle. And boy, was that good. There's the hummus on little squares of lavash, some Greek olives, and some crudités. That was also delicious. And these things really went together well. We had a little bit of each. Here you have a chunk of celery with some of the buffalo chicken and a piece of gorgonzola cheese. I didn't have blue cheese dip, but we had some Italian blue cheese, and the gorgonzola was perfect accompaniment. Here we have some of the smoked tuna with a slice of pickle on a cracker with some more sliced peppers, and that also was delicious. We tried to decide on which one of these we liked the best. All right, so here was the base ingredients: the chicken breast, the tuna, the garbanzo beans or chickpeas, and that hunk of ham that I cut off, a large ham. And then we have flavor profiles. Here's a possible Mexican flavor profile. You could use chipotles, you could use salsas, you could use spicy tomatoes, you could use all of the Mexican spices. Here's a possible Asian palette. Look at the curry pastes that you could buy in the Asian grocery store. A little soy sauce, things like coconut cream or peanut butter. I was thinking of doing something like a chicken satay spread. Here you could go Greek with some yogurt and lemon and Kalamata olives, or you could use some mint and some cucumber. Lots of ways to go there. Here's just some flavors that we had in the pantry. Things you can get at Trader Joe's, like the everything but the bagel sesame. And you saw the liquid smoke and the Worcestershire sauce that we used. But if you wanted to add some umami, that mushroom powder is great. It's always good to have some crunch. So things like sesame seeds or pumpkin seeds or peanuts are great. You just put those in at the end and pulse a little bit. And of course, some crudités. Get some vegetables into this meal with some pepper slices or some anything you happen to have on hand. So the trick here is to experiment on your own. Come up with whatever you happen to have on hand, play with it, gain some experience with it, test, try. This is your chance to be adventurous in the kitchen. So have fun and stay healthy. So the trick here is to experiment on your own. Come up with whatever you happen to have on hand, play with it, gain some experience with it, test, try. This is your chance to be adventurous in the kitchen. So have fun and stay healthy.